Hey everyone, post-edit Cyber here. I finished doing the video on the Bat Ponies, and there were a few things I kind of forgot to mention and a few things I want to apologize for. First off, I want to apologize for my breathing. I didn't think this was going to be that close, that it was going to be that loud. And second of all, you hear my dog barking in the background. Again, I apologize for that. I'm surprised I got picked up considering that was 3 rooms away, but apparently dog has a good bark. Anyways, next thing I want to say, and is by far the most important one, is the Bat Ponies are not 100% complete. They were released for this update as is in the current state, but they're not done. It is obvious that they need more work, and this video isn't meant to be any harsh talks about them or any bad mouthing, even though I might get a little salty about the ultimate, and I do want to express that I understand that this is that the class is still in development, and I want to hopefully get some constructive criticism out of this. I was as blunt and honest as possible. I know that a few people have also told me the same thing about the Bat Ponies with the issues that they have, and that's kind of the point of the video, just to have it out there. Um, but the class is not done yet. It's gonna change. It's already been said that there are going to be changes coming, so we just need to wait for that. But I really did just want to get this video out, out of the way, and I wanted to practice some freeform commentary. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to that. And yeah, again, hopefully there's some construction criticism here for anyone, for the devs that they're watching, and all of that stuff. Anyways, on with the video. Hello everyone, CyberMag is here, or Tekken Wolf as my YouTube account is known. I should really see if I can get that changed. Anyways, I'm here to make a video today. I want to talk about PonyAge Chronicles, more specifically the Bat Ponies of PonyAge Chronicles. PonyAge Chronicles is an MLP themed MMO, but it doesn't take too much inspiration from the show, mainly just, I guess, colorful horses in an MMO style game. And my main and the Bat Ponies that were added in a few days ago, no, like what, 2 weeks ago now? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago they were added in when the game actually did go public for everyone to play. Bat Ponies were added in. They are the new race slash class, uh, and to say the least, they're playable. They're fun in my opinion. A little bit on the, I guess, underwhelming side, but they're not completely horrible. If you want to play as one, I mean, I'm maining it right now as my main class right now. So, first I want to discuss about the three other classes in the game and where they fit in, where they like what their roles are, and we can see where we put Bat Ponies in. So, starting off, we have the Earth Ponies, which are essentially high HP physical attackers. Not that much on the range department, at least projectile wise, but they have a lot of gap closers, a lot of CC, and high health. Essentially, almost like tanks, to say it. You don't have to be a tank, but their main role, their kit is kind of built around controlling fights, taunts, having high HP, and just being tanks. Then we have the Pegasi. They are more like mobile assassins, almost to say the least. To say so, they're quick, agile, definitely on the more frail side compared to the Earth Ponies, but they can hit really hard. They're very mobile. They can get in and out of fights real quickly. They can fly, land, do stuns. You know, their double attack, which is their main focus attack, is probably one of the strongest attacks in the game, at least physical wise. So, assassin attacks and higher on the evasion. And then, last but definitely not least, are the unicorns. They're your spellcasters of the game. Unicorns are actually very unique in the fact that they can split off into two classes at level 15. They can take the path of wizardry, which is offense, or the path of cleric or healer, which is a healer. And essentially, both unicorns have access to energy bolt, which is allows you to cast while moving, and it's just a simple basic spell. They can teleport, push enemies away, drag enemies away, heal themselves, heal others, and bring up barriers. Now, when you go into the offensive, you have more offensive roles. You get Fireball, which is an explosion, Mystic Shot, or Arcane Bolt, I mean, which is a stronger shot that you can't move while using, but it's still really powerful. Stuff like that. And then a healer, obviously, is more healer with more supportive abilities to bring like attack speed, casting speed, movement speed. Just a very more supportive role. So then we have the Bat Ponies. As you can tell, all three races kind of cover a little bit of everything. You have your tank, your melee DPS, your spellcaster slash healers. So where do Bat Ponies lie in this? Like, where would they fall? Well, Bat Ponies are, I guess a good way to put them, are kind of a life steal DPS. At least that's what I've been able to figure out with them. They're not overly tanky by themselves in their stats. In fact, they're quite frail compared to most other classes. I don't. They don't really have the defense of an Earth Pony. They don't have the evasion of a Pegasi, and their healing is nowhere near as good as a Unicorn's. They're more consistent on their healing just over time with some small bursts with Essence Bite or Energy Bite. I'm sorry, but they're not really, they're not really sustaining. But they can deal some damage, specifically with their auto attacks. And once you start building up essences, you can really understand how they work. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go through their abilities, and exactly what Bat Ponies do more in depth. So let's go check that out. Skills. All right, here we go for bats. So the first thing I'm gonna start off with is their two passives. Bat Ponies, like every other race, have I believe two passives normally. Some of them maybe only have one, but um, the first passive, which is kind of what their whole kit is designed around, is Essence Holder. And you gain charges and use some abilities. The more charges you have, the more attack speed and lifesteal you will have. Essentially, it's a passive buff that you can keep gaining more and more power as the fight progresses. Now, these charges will also be used to use some of your other higher end abilities. And this is kind of where Bat Ponies are a little weird. Because you kind of want to keep your charges up high for the passive bonus, but you also want to expend them for some other moves. But overall, this is the key mechanic to Bat Ponies. They revolve around this essence ability. And honestly, it's probably one of the most fun mechanics when you really get going. It just, well, we'll see. We'll talk about more later on where I have an issue with this. Now, their other passive is called Creature of the Night. Essentially, they gained increased accuracy and vision during the nighttime and in caves. Honestly, I don't really notice a difference at night of how things look. But I've really only really played Bat. I also have a Unicorn that I've messed around with, but I've mainly been playing Bat. But now in the caves, in the dark caves, it looks like it's daytime inside there. You have nothing's blocking your vision. You can see perfectly fine. It is actually really nice. Now, the downside of this passive is that gain increased accuracy and vision. Now, the accuracy, remember, is only available when it's nighttime or in a cave. So in part of the time, I think that I don't know if the day and night cycles are equal in this game. I actually have not looked into that. But at least while you're in the caves, which is one of the higher end levels, one of it is the highest level area to be in, you get that bonus accuracy, which is not bad. But it's also a little lackluster compared to like other classes. While unicorns can get like more magic attack and they can get more crit chance with some of their other passives, mana regeneration. Earth ponies can get more HP and resistance, and I think P attack also, physical attack. The other ones get more and more, like they can get multiple stat buffs that can really define them where they go. While Batponies get something that's a little more, I guess, novelty or themed, but at the same time, it just feels so lackluster and it's only active during certain conditions, while other passives are always active. I don't know. I feel like this could be maybe looked upon, maybe to put this passive more in line with others. Maybe even put it a bit more into the lifesteal, because the lifesteal is another issue that's going to be a thing that it's going to be talked about. Is Bat Pony lifesteal is very low, even at max charges. Now, I know part of the reason is lifesteal is a very hard mechanic to properly implement, because it can get very overpowered very quickly without even realizing it. So, I don't know. It's just something that I feel like needs to be looked at. So, the next ability I want to look at is Energy Bite. This is the first ability I believe you get. It is also, I don't know why it's on a higher list than Paralysis Bite, but anyways. So Energy Bite. Steal health and regain some mana from the target. Higher proc chance if the target is under a crowd control effect. It gains charge. So essentially, this is your most basic ability to get charges. It's also useful for it's also your sustain move. It's pretty much your bread and butter move that you want to use. Um, Overall, it's a fantastic move. I believe it has a 40% life steal when you use the ability. So whatever you damage you heal, you heal 40% of that, which is really good. It's a very useful sustain to have, and honestly, solid ability, and the added ability of it working better when the opponent is under crowd control is usually a stun or a slow. I don't know if a slow counts as crowd control, but I know under a stun it almost never misses. But again, this is only one of two ways. Well, technically three if you take an upgrade, but two of the most basic ways of gaining charges as a Bat Pony. And if you miss this move, it's on a 20-second cooldown regularly. You can lower it down by taking upgrades into the skill, and not just regular upgrades, like special upgrades that require you to farm certain items, and cooldown reduction runes. Runes are essentially gems that you can put into your equipment to enhance your character. But baseline, it's 20 seconds. I believe I have mines down to a 14-second. Let me see if I can quickly go find a quick enemy to give him a quick bap and see if I can do that. But yeah, and I think I believe it's 20 seconds when you fully like max it out, like max level 30, and you have the ability maxed out, like that's level wise. So let me quickly fly over this fence here. Yes, bat ponies can also fly, very useful because you can get around some terrains like this. So let me quickly get and see how long my cooldown is. I'm just gonna spam the Q button, and a little over 14 seconds. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's like 14.5 seconds. Let's say 14.5 seconds. So I have mine down to 14.5 seconds. Pretty useful ability to have, and it gives a decent amount of charge to use. Um, so this ability works fine as intended. The only downside is its cooldown. But I also know that if you try to lower this ability down too much, if you try to use it too long, like if it comes overused, bat ponies can just infinitely sustain their health with this ability. And it also drains mana, so like, you know, it is what it is there. So the next ability that they have, which I'm also going to talk about, is Tackling Bite. Now this move ability you gain at level 10. And essentially what it does, you can only use this move while you're in the air, and it applies Energy Bite from a distance. If failed, both targets are stunned. Now, I wouldn't say it's an exact replica of Energy Bite. It's a weaker version of Energy Bite. It does less damage than Energy Bite. It doesn't heal as much, but it's on a far lower cooldown. Like I think it's like 6 seconds, 7 seconds compared to the 20. It's on a much lower cooldown. So it's definitely an ability you want to use. The biggest downside of this move though is that it doesn't ground you. You have to fly, use the ability, wait 2 seconds because of how long the cooldown for fly is, and then land. It's very cumbersome to do that. It feels very clunky, and it just feels like you're wasting your time flying in there because you cannot attack while you're flying. You can only get a 10% movement speed, and I think dodge. Does it still give dodge? I don't remember if they took out the dodge. Let me check. Total flight gain, gain 10% speed, but unable to use skills and attack. Okay, yeah. So it's only a 10% movement speed. So not even that. I mean, flying is not the worst, but it's not ideal when you're in combat. So while Tackling Bite is a great way to build charges up because it's on such a low cooldown, it has a downside of, you can't land with it. So if you use it mid-fight, you're stuck like 2 seconds just flying in the air. Very annoying. And honestly, if I were to put something, you can add it that it automatically grounds you, but I think a better choice would be to give an attack that grounds the Bat Pony. Give them it, because another big problem with Bat Ponies you're going to see is that they don't have a lot of moves. They're very limited on what they can do. So what you're seeing here are their main abilities. These two, Essence, Energy Bite, and Tackling Bite, are pretty much their main single target abilities that you're going to focus on. I believe there may be one more. Is it just? Yes, those are the two main damaging abilities. Um, the next ability we're going to talk about is Paralysis Bite. Now, this move is the strongest. This is what makes Bat Ponies, well, probably competitive in PvP, and they work well in any, like, in situation with against mini bosses, even while leveling. Essentially what it does, it costs 20 charge, so you need to build up charges first to use this. But it costs 20 charge and applies the target with a paralyzing poison that has a chance to stun over time. Essentially, the move is a poison that ticks damage, and every tick, it has a chance of stunning the target. So you can sometimes even stun people for like 9, anywhere between like 5 to 10 seconds. And in PvP, you can burst somebody down. If you have a right build, you can just burst someone down in those 10 seconds and they can't react to it. It's really busted. Now, the downside of this move is A, it costs 20 charges. So you got to give up some of your power because your charges or your essences give you your passive stats. So you got to give some of that up. In my opinion, though, for 20, that's worth it. But here's the thing now. So the ability can miss. If the ability misses, you lose the charges. You don't get the effect. The ability can hit, but if they resist the first poison tick, they resist the whole effect because they didn't get poisoned. And then finally, the last thing that can go wrong is if you poison them and it starts ticking the poison, they can still resist the poison ticks afterwards. It's completely RNG how it works. You can get some runes to kind of help that out, get some more poison runes in. Funny enough, it's poison that you need to use, not stun. But you kind of, that's kind of a thing for them. But this ability is by far fantastic. The only downside to this move is that it does not work on bosses. And while bosses are completely immune to CC, that also poses one big threat to one big problem for Bat Ponies. Energy Bite works a lot better when an enemy is stunned. You can't exactly stun a boss. I don't know. Again, if it works with slowing down the targets, then sure, you can slow down a boss to increase your accuracy to Energy Bite because you can slow them down. You just can't stun them. But essentially, Paralysis Bite is completely useless on bosses. But PvP and on mini bosses and lesser enemies, it's actually pretty good to use. Their next ability they have is Weakling Drain. Now this ability, regenerate health and mana from nearby defeated enemies. Gain a little bit of charge for each enemy. Essentially what this does, it allows you to absorb dead enemies to regain health and mana. It's really useful for, let me quickly kill this fairy wolf so I can show it off. It's very useful because what it does is that it can just sustain you as you're fighting and you're farming. Very, very good. So let's go ahead and use it. And there you go. I got 65 health and 90 mana for that one. Downside is it has a bit of a cooldown, even with cooldown reduction runes that I have. It's still like 55 seconds if I remember correctly. But it's an AoE around you, so if you kill like 10 enemies around you and then use that move, you gain health and essences for all the enemies that you killed. Really good move. It's a great sustain, no real complaints about it. And you can even upgrade it to do sweeping, and what sweeping does, it allows you to get extra loot from enemies that you killed. Mainly more crafting stuff, so you can just get a bit more crafting loot. So, you kill a group of enemies around you, sweep them, and then get all that bonus loot. It's great. So let's go to the next ability, Screeching Scream. Use some of your charge to stun and push away slightly all enemies around the caster. Now I don't know whose idea of slightly this ability is, because this ability is not slightly. Let me build up some charge and we can see it in action, because trust me, this move is I don't know, I don't consider this slightly. Alright, so we have some charges. You can see your charges here on the top left corner for me. 65, it's going down. So let's do this. Let's go 60. So it's 15 charge? Yeah, 15 charge. And it kind of blew the enemy back around here when they were on me. And it deals damage, and it stuns them. If they survive their stun, you can kind of stun them with Screeching Scream if you get them against a wall and then get a free energy bite. Screeching Scream. My goodness. You can kind of, if you stun an enemy or an opponent against a wall where they get pushed back into a wall and they don't move that much, you get that free stun. So you can get an essence bite on them. Trade 15 charge to gain 30, so you get a plus of 15 charge. It's not bad. Plus it deals damage, so just I don't think it's worth using the charges to get that. So, but overall, this move very thematic to the character, very much very much, you know, it works for what it needs to do. It's crowd control around you. It gets people off of you. Next ability they have is Unstoppable Hunger. Now this move is good, and I don't know. I don't know where to put it because it's kind of good. It could be better, but it's not a bad move. It's a buff. Essentially, what it does is your essence fixes your essence holder charges at current value for 20 seconds. Gain resistance bonuses. Now this is a little misleading because when I first read it, I thought it freezes your essence holders at that much, and if you cannot gain or spend any more essences. But you can use your abilities and keep it frozen, but you cannot gain any more from your abilities. At first, I thought that's what it did, and at first I was like, "Oh wow, that's really good." But no, that's not what it does. What it does is that it stops your essences from going down passively. You still cost essences. You can still gain essences though from your abilities. I don't know. I guess I was let down because with the way I read it, it just sounded like that would have been better. But the resistances you get are not bad. It's actually really solid amount of resistances. You know, you can use this to if you know that if an attack that's gonna stun you is coming out. Let me putting up my status menu here so you can see this. So first, let me get some charges. Let me just quickly hit this wolf. Okay, so I have 33, so we're gonna use the move now. I forgot what move. It's 8, right? All right, so now you can see here. This is frozen at. Okay, well, it's not showing me that it's frozen because. Okay, no, it is frozen. The UI is just bugged out. Okay. It is frozen. It's just bugged out. But yeah, you can see that that's kind of sticking on the 42 area, and my resistances did go up here, and now they went back down. But you know, it works. It works really well when you're in combat, and you can actually see it take its effect. Again, not a bad move. Its cooldown isn't the worst. I think it's like what, a minute? A minute cooldown? It's usable. It's a nice little buff. Honestly, I would prefer that it did a little more. It just feels a little lackluster. There's where we start seeing like the more abilities we start getting into, we can really start feeling that the bats are really lackluster. And while this buff, like I said, is okay, it's just I hardly really ever use it. Like when I'm killing bosses, I don't really use it because I'm constantly gaining charges and losing them. So this ability holds no real use to me. The passive amount that you maintain isn't that useful or that great, and the resistances you get also aren't that great. Like it's okay, it's useful. Like if you see a stun coming, maybe you can pop that in, not get stunned. What would I want to fix this? I don't know. Maybe actually freeze your essences so you can use your essence abilities without it costing any essences that you currently have. Maybe have it that it gives you a large boost to your essence count. Maybe like, you know, if you have, it'll give like plus 30 essence. Or, you know, while the buff is active, you can get certain more passes, maybe more lifesteal, more attack speed. Maybe your essence abilities are, or your essence charges give you more of your stat. You know, something to give them more than just what it has. It just feels so meh. So, that's that ability. Not the worst, not the best, but it's there. I really do hope to see more changes out of it. So the next ability we're going to look for is Wing Block. Gain a barrier while the skill is channeled. Barrier health scales with essence holders charges. If the barrier is destroyed, stun player. This ability is actually not bad. At first I was like, what's the point of it? But you can really block big attacks with this. Like if you're fighting a boss and a big attack is coming, you pop that up and you'll be fine. You can block most stuff with it. What's even better about it is if you get this upgrade. Gain charges on damage blocking. This allows you to convert the damage you take into charges that's absorbed by that shield. It really gives the ability more of an offensive use or a more of a, you know, more use than normal. But at the same time, it's again just another lackluster defensive. I really like it and what it does. I wish the shield was better because it breaks really easily. I'm talking about this shield will break fast if you're not careful. But it's not a bad ability. Let me go to a higher level area to show off the shield. Maybe I can get it to break. It's hard to tell if somebody will, if an enemy in there will be able to break it, but we could try. But ultimately, it's not a bad ability. Honestly, I would like to see maybe some more upgrades to give it some more, a bit of a utility or maybe some more usage. Maybe like, because you can cancel the shield to not break on you. But I would like to see some more like utility, some more, a bit more usage. So it'd be like, you know, heal off how much damage was blocked, or like a certain amount, like heal off how much damage you were able to block, or return, or maybe when if you're, let me rephrase it because I'm jumping out words. You would heal a certain percentage of the damage that was blocked as long as your shield was not broken. Um, or maybe have something that you give off an explosion of damage around you based on how much damage was blocked as long as your shield wasn't broken. I would like to see something like that, something a little more to the shield, because the fact that you can't act while you can't fight, you can only move around a little, means that you're kind of just there having to take the hits. It's not bad, but just again, it's just lackluster. I'm glad that I was able to find that the essence ability to upgrade it, because that actually gave it a lot more uses to me, because before it's an ability that was there that I hardly ever used. It just was not worth it. Was not worth it. So that pretty much is that ability. I don't know if I'm actually gonna go into the caves, but whatever. Let's continue on. Now we're gonna get to where I have the biggest problem. Well, I'm gonna avoid this ability. I'm gonna go first to Bloodbound. Bloodbound Bloodbound is a very interesting ability. It's probably it started off really weak originally. Um, I thought the skill was pointless. It was essentially just a PvP ability that was really weak. But it got buffed to be extremely useful as of recently. As in the most recent update, it was buffed to pretty much a very usable state. What it does, it requires 50 charge. So it's a lot of charge. You're wasting 50 charge for this ability. But make a hunter play pack with the target and gain increased speed when it's around. When you are close to proximity, slows the target down significantly. What it also doesn't say is that it also slows down their attack speed and their cast speed. So you can really debuff somebody to not want to fight you, to run away from you, which is an advantage for you because you're slowing them down while they're trying to run. Really powerful. At first, the bonuses was not really noticeable, but as in the most recent patch, they really buffed the ability to be a lot better. Let me just quickly word that. So let's start building up some charges here. Actually, let's go ahead and use the bat shield. So this is the shield. I can't do anything, but I can absorb attacks, dodge, and there we go. It's over. And that's the shield. It's on a fairly low cooldown, so it's not the end of the world. It's not that bad, but yeah. But now, let's get into using Blood Pack, or Bloodbound, because this ability really is a lot better. So you can sort of see how fast this enemy's attacking me. You know, fairly fast, but not really that much, but it's attacking me, whatever. Now, if I were to use Bloodbound, would I have enough charge? Yeah. So I'm going to use Bloodbound. Now look how fast they attack. Look at that. It got one attack off. It only still got one attack. I pretty much froze him from attacking. That is great. The downside is its cooldown is fairly long, but like you can really use this ability to get some uses, to get some really good ability, to get some good use out of it. Like in PvP, you can stop somebody from attacking you for a couple of seconds. PvE, you can stop a boss from beating on you while you're trying to heal. You can heal up quickly. There's a lot of good uses of Bloodbound. What I want is actual upgrade paths, because this ability you can upgrade. It has no upgrade path whatsoever. But besides that, it is it's now solid and it works really well. But now we're gonna get to the disappointment of all. Their ultimate. This is supposed to be their ultimate. Unexpected release. Convert most of your essence holder charges into a powerful high accuracy explosion at your position that also damages you. Applies an unpurgeable weakness debuff. Now, what does this mean? So, the more charges you have, the more damage you deal in an explosion around you, but that also means you take more damage the more charges you have. Now, it won't kill you if you're at full health. In fact, from my understanding, it only takes about a half of my health when it's fully charged. But still, that's half my health. And then you have this unpurgeable weakness buff, which essentially now is a 30-second debuff which lowers most of your combat stats by half. Attack speed, well, I think it's attack damage, uh, movement speed, and something else. Might be attack speed too, I don't quite remember. But it lowers all your combat stats by half, by 50% for 30 seconds. Here's the problem with this move. This move is absolute ass. While it can do some decent damage when farming, if you're farming lower end enemies, like here in the caves, if I recall correctly, I can't kill, enemies in here with it. So this huge explosion is kind of useless. The debuff is way too bad. The self damage can get you killed if you're not careful. And I just jumped into that stun. That was good of me. That's fine. I'll just heal it back up. So, that's kind of a problem with this ability, is that it's not the worst. I don't think it's the... No, what am I saying? No. This ability is the worst. Ability has almost no use whatsoever besides maybe farming at most. You never want to use this move in PvP because, from my tests, I've done more damage to myself before than to enemies who have weaker armor than me. Why? I have no idea. Maybe it's because they have better magic resistance than I do. Yeah, the move is also apparently magic attack, if I remember correctly. Someone told me that it was a magic attack. I don't know. Oh, hello, Elemental Breeder. You would be a good test on how to play bats. Come here. Come here, you rock spider. Oh, wait. Why is there, nobody here? Alright, anyways. I'll kill that guy to show off how bats kind of play as an end thing. But anyways. Unexpected release. So I'm going to go to this level 25 Service Breeder. I'm 5 levels over it. So I'm going to slam down on it. Oh, I did a good chunk. I'm going to put up a barrier that I have. And I'm going to see if I can kill it with Unexpected Release. And it didn't kill it. And now I've lost all my charges. I'm down to half my health. And I have to kill this thing before it kills me. Oh, God. Oh, God. Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Oh, God. Okay. As you see there, that was my ultimate. Couldn't kill a level 25 enemy. That is bad. That is really bad. The ultimate is just not worth using. I use it maybe for farming some really low-end enemies, but that's about it. I don't use it for anything else. And that's because the move sucks. I really hope they do something to change. I really want a new ultimate for bats. The move itself is flawed in logic on how it works. So, there's that. You give up all your charges to do this big explosion that can kill you. And then it's not even that good. So, it is what it is with that move. Now, I'm going to quickly kill this guy so I can show how bats kind of play and their rotations. So in this one, it's charging an attack. Right now, I can just block that with this. There we go. Blocked it. And I just go back to beating on him. Oh, geez. Wow. I'm taking a lot of damage. Let me just quickly pop this barrier up. So now, essentially what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to build up my charges. I'm not really going to fly too much because I don't find flying that good. Because if I fly, I fly, bite, and now I got to wait, and now I can land. It's kind of cumbersome to just have to wait that long. So, personally, I don't like it. Actually, let me see something. So, fly. So now I can land. I should probably land and put this shield up. Sorry about my computer going crazy. It really shouldn't be doing that. But, the bite isn't that great, in my opinion. I mean, the flying and having to not being able to land kind of sucks. It's just a waste of your time to have to do that every single time. I can't block this one, so I'm just going to take it. Use another healing move. So, essentially, as of right now as I'm fighting, I'm doing auto attacks. I'm using energy bite on cooldown. And I'm blocking these attacks with wind block when it becomes available. That's all it is. That's all Bat Ponies are. They don't do anything else. Just auto attack, energy bite, and steal some health. That's about it. If you want to get technical, like push for more, like say I'm losing a lot of health right now, and oh, I'm slowed. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna have to wait for the slow to wear up before I do anything else. So I'll just, excuse me. So what I can do, put up the wing block again. So I see that other enemy there, which I can hit a lot harder with my energy bite. I can use that to heal off of and gain a chunk of my health back. And there we go. I have more health. So that's something you can do with bats, which is actually a really useful little trick, is to use a lot of the weaker enemies to build up your health and mana back. So yeah, overall, pretty good things to do there with bats. I guess I should have talk about my build more, because the game does revolve around your build mentality. Ow. I should probably put my barrier back up. So you can see that I'm also casting a barrier that I'm allowed to attack out of. That's a minor barrier. It's from this rune right here. You can see it right here. Green slot, large, minor barrier. And what that does, it's a barrier that you can kind of cast. It works more like the unicorn barrier, except it also has a healing effect to it when you cast it. I believe the cooldown is 30 seconds to recast it. But yeah, you kind of just use that move to help block damage and to give yourself a little bit of a heal. You know, it is what it is. Let me put wing block here. I need some more health. Come here, little spider. Oh, I've already used it. This is gonna suck. Okay, so it just slowed me. I wonder if I could just fly, land on him. Okay. That is the one thing about fly that is useful. You can use it to give... Oh, it's not good. Okay, you know what? I do not want to deal with him getting that insane damage boost, so I'm going to slow him down. Oh, ow. Oh. Okay, hold on. Don't want to die here. So he kind of tagged me down because he has that Bloodbound effect. So again, finding some uses for Bloodbound, which I think is actually a really good move right now. I really can't use Paralysis Bite because the enemy doesn't stun. So I'm kind of just here beating on him. Okay, Bloodbound is over, so it is what it is. But look at that. I managed to regain so much of my health back. You know, my abilities are back on usage. So, you know, I survived that. Not too bad of an issue. But my problem is that there's really nothing much to do except auto attack, essence bite. Maybe I'll fly to jump to a target to, you know... Come here, little spider. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't poison me. Don't poison me. Don't poison me. I've got poisoned. So if you're poisoned, you can kind of just suck... Oh, I have anti-poisons. I have anti-poisons. Hold on a second. Oh, 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 oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Minor barrier. Oh, I got a crit on that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just a little off. I'm just here auto attacking and just wait for this to die. Overall though, oh, let me talk about my build. So, Bat Ponies, by the looks of it, are supposed to be like a melee DPS with lifesteal. But again, they just kind of only have some little bit. You can also see that I'm not really healing that much off this boss. That I have been having my charges maxed out for a while, and I healed a 1, a 1, a 3. When I crit, I get to heal 3. But you really don't heal a lot with the life heal. Well, I'm hitting 30s, you know, 30s and 20s. I'm only healing 1 damage. And, you know, out of my health pool, that's not good. Okay, I'm going to quickly do that. And just lower down his damage. I'm going to pop a potion, actually, because I have a few. So, yeah. Again, not the worst. But yeah, so my build, I went for a very crit heavy build. I went some defensive here, some physical attack up. You can see it in my stats there. You know, I have a lot of crit damage here. We have some more crit damage and crit chance. More crit damage, well, physical attack, crit damage, and crit chance. Pretty much my build is all about crit chance and crit damage. We have some attack speed here as well. To mix that in, we have a Devour effect, which Devour is a chance to heal up off an incoming attack. It's a 10% chance to proc, but it has a cooldown that once it procs of once every 40 seconds, 30 seconds. I don't quite remember the numbers, but yeah. But yeah, you can tell my build here is pretty much, you know, total damage, max health, crit, crit, more crit. I'm essentially really focusing on crit. And that's because that's what I wanted my build to revolve around. Oh, you did. Slowed me. Alright. Uh-oh. Ooh! Yeah, okay, that was good. And I resisted that. Okay, just walk away. I don't have to tank this hit, so I'm just gonna wait for him to do it and then go back on him. But yeah, my build is crit. I guess I should also talk about why I believe lifesteal right now isn't that great in general. Lifesteal used to be really broken in a previous test, and that came from the fact in the previous test, runes were broken as hell. Like, there was no denying it. Runes were broken. This time around, they were nerfed. A lot of runes were nerfed, and runes in general got nerfed. Before, you just wanted to focus on crit damage. Oh, hello. Thank you. I'm going to use you to heal. You wanted to focus essentially mainly on crit damage, lifesteal, and crit chance. Maybe you can put some attack speed in there too, because attack speed was always valuable. But yeah. But this time around, when this game updated, rune slots were a lot harder to get. Before, it was very common, very easily able to obtain 4 to 5 rune slot gear. You know, that was pretty easy to get. Now, though, it's lucky if you get a 3 slot piece. Like, anyone on you see a lot of my pieces here are like, that's 2 slot, that's 2 slot, that's 1 slot, 2 slot, 1 slot. This one I got really lucky in. A 3 slot, my goodness. 2 slot, 1 slot, 2 slot. Now, you can actually technically, I guess, add a +1 to that because every piece of equipment you craft comes with a black rune. But the thing with black runes is you can't customize them. Whatever you get on that black rune, it's there on that equipment forever. You can't change it. You can't take it out. It is what it is. You have to craft another piece of gear to change that one. So you can see on, like, let's say these Risk Runner boots. Black slot, total damage increased by 9%. And that's what that one does. So, essentially, in patching of the game, lifesteal got heavily nerfed down. It used to be really powerful. Used to be able to heal a lot off of it. Hi, AP. Thank you for waving at me. Yes. Wave at you. I'll wave at you back, I guess. There we go. Wave at AP. Animated pony. Alright. So, lifesteal got heavily nerfed. The runes used to give you a lot more, but understandably so, as even 10% lifesteal soon became problematic, as you can just heal for so much. You just healed for so much. So, lifesteal got hit. But you used to heal so much because you used to do so much damage with your crit. Crit also got nerfed. Your base crit damage modifier used to be 2.1 if I recall. Now I think it's either 1.6 or 1.7. I don't quite remember. But it's been nerfed down by a significant amount. That means your crits do less damage. And to add more salt in the wounds, crit chance got nerfed. Crit chance runes now only give half as much crit chance as before. So before you used to get like 9% crit chance then you from the large red rune or from the large runes. Now you only get 4.5. So crit got heavily nerfed. And then the final thing that was broken in the runes was Devour, as it had no cooldown. Devour can just be used. No problems asked. You could just proc 3-4 times in a row if you had enough Devour. I think even technically if you had like 90% Devour, 100% Devour, you can almost never die. Yeah, that was broken. But we start seeing now a nerf to lifesteal, which bats were based around. We see a nerf to crit chance and crit damage, which is also how lifesteal used to heal a lot. So a lot we used to modify, what you would say, I guess, we would use for Bat Ponies back then that you would have used, because Bat Ponies weren't actually even available when the runes first released, are, well, not viable anymore. Or not viable, they're just heavily toned down. They're more balanced. I don't think that they need to be buffed, honestly. I think, if anything, baseline healing from Bat Ponies should be buffed. Maybe lifesteal could be buffed again more. I don't know. It's hard to say. Crit really isn't as powerful as it used to be. I have a full crit build, and honestly, I think my build sucks. I think the better builds to go nowadays, if you're going for a DPS, is to go more bruiser. Flat damage maybe with some defense, some attack speed, add a poison into your auto attack just to get that going. And you can sprinkle some crit chance in, but you don't really need it. you know, the crit damage nerf was really hard. I think you're just better off maybe with flat. Um, I might have to reboot my build, but that's kind of it. You know, Bat Ponies in their current state, they're playable. They're not the worst. They're definitely not the best. They're a class with very limited abilities, very pretty much a non-existent ultimate because unexpected releases is so bad. It really is so bad. But I do want to say that Bat Ponies are gonna get looked at again in the future. I know they were. It's been already confirmed. Um, they didn't have like the 2 years of balancing that Earth ponies, unicorns, and Pegasus have had. And you know, I think they have a chance to be actually really good. They actually, in my opinion, look one of the best. I love their how they look. Um, and very interesting design that the male and females don't share that much of a difference compared to like male female other from the other races. They have very similar muzzle types, except the females have a slightly smaller muzzle as well as one less tooth than the male. I, you know, but they look good. I really like how they look. They're, you know, they're fluffy, they're adorable, you know, amazing. And there's AP again. Um, but yeah, you know, I'm hoping for some more Bat Pony buffs slash changes. You know, in PvP, I took them into PvP a few times, and it's not that I didn't do bad. I placed, I think, fifth place or fourth place in the tournament. Not bad out of like 10 people, but it was really bad when I died in 4 or 5 hits. No, it was like 4 hits maybe. I don't remember. To an Earth Horse, and even though my stun landed, I did my rotations right. They just walked up to me and hit me 4 times, and I died. RNG crits, sure, maybe, but it just feels bad when you just can't do anything. I have no other options. I did my stun, I did my attacks, and then I just died in 4 hits. So squishy. Um, then I can also, and I also I'm gonna say, their 10-second stun is probably one of the most BS things in the game in PvP at times, because if you get really lucky with it, your opponent cannot even play the game. So they're really strong in one area, super weak everywhere else. And again, that stun is only really good in PvP. As PvE and bosses, it doesn't work. Bosses are immune to stun. If you could stun a boss, sure, I would say it has a lot more use, but you can't. You can't stun bosses. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Bat Ponies right now. I hope this video isn't too long. Knowing my luck, it probably is. 45 minutes. Hmm. Well, thank you all for watching. Hopefully it's not that long. And yeah, till next time.